CIO News. I'm Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and a contributing editor at CIO News. Welcome to our another episode of a series on new age collaboration and digital customer experience. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, which is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. I'm very excited to invite our guest for today. He's Mr. Subramanya C, the President and Global Chief Technology Officer at Hinduja Global Solutions. Mr. Subramanya has 31 years of rich experience, of which he has been associated with Hinduja Global Solutions for almost 21 years. Mr. Subramanya has built and managed technology infrastructure across the globe, aligned and managed the technology roadmap of the organization, implemented cloud-based infrastructure, core telephony, and applications for the customers. Mr. Subramanya has excellent industry knowledge and currently is managing partners, processes, and people apart from technology across the globe, geographies. Mr. Subramanya, it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Khushbu. My pleasure to be on with you all.
Great. Along with me today, I have Jay Wellen. He's the head India and Mecca business for Unified Collaboration Communication at Tata Communication. Jay has 25 years of rich experience in the collaboration business. Prior to Tata Communication, Jay was working with BT and many other organizations. Welcome, Jay.
This is Mike. Thanks, Khushbu, for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Mr. Subramaniam, I would want to begin with, you giving us a brief about Hinduja Global Solutions. We are all aware of the brand, and it's been in the industry for quite some time. But it would be great to hear from you if you can give a little more insights on Hinduja Global Solutions.
Oh, sure. See, we are one of the large third-party BPO contact center companies, right? And we have presence across the globe. And I may be not exactly trying to state you the number of geographies I have, number of people whom do we work with. So I'll give you a number in the ballpark range. Okay, that will be easier for you. We have over 52 delivery centers across the globe, and we have over 40,000 people across the globe handling all customer experiences, right? We look at and are true to our mission statement of HGS. What we really do is we make our customers being more competitive. So the idea is to really add value to our customers. At any point of time, we look at our customers and see how is that they are servicing their end clients. What is that which they can really do, right? Again, all of us would have spoken in multiple forums. During the pandemic, we have all seen the digital being a big story, right? And digital being the reality for most of the companies, right? For us, the evolution started almost a few years ago, because a lot of the customers of ours, we need to ensure that we continuously give value year on year to them. While we have to give year on year value to them, we need to do a huge amount of automation, right?
Yeah.
We need to a lot of try to give them value, right? On any deliverable, what we do, we need to give value to them, right? Let's say, for example, a large business portfolio, if you look at in HGS, we have 50+% of healthcare business. The balance, we call it a CES business, right? It's all about customer engagement solutions, what we really do for all other verticals other than the healthcare. So let's take for the value of the 50% plus of our customers. See, today we take pride in trying to say we are sticking to our mission statements and our ESAT, our CSAT, and anything to do with our revenue figures also, which has been published now, is all going absolutely north. The reason is because we value the mission of our customers and try to truly deliver as per our mission statements and align our deliverables with the clients and see that how can we give experience to the end clients. The experience could be in any channel. Like we always say, it's an omni-channel, right? So we give experience right from a voice call coming in or an email correspondence or a chat or any of these, literally to get onto social media and any of those digital channels which we need to handle. All of that is what we have strengths on. And today we definitely take pride on the strength of managing our existing customers and our CSAT being at the highest. it's very important for us to really have our client satisfaction also, right? At the same time, as I said, we need to have our internal satisfaction of our employees. All that is at the best I can really talk about. So HGS as a company, as you gave the introduction, I've spent over 3 decades in the industry and 2 decades in HGS. So I still go back on the evolution of the way the whole customer service journey began and how is it being today, right? It started off with a typical BPO, outsourcing or offshoring something which is not the core, to everything which is really core also being outsourced, to the organizations like us, which has moved across the value chain, like the BPO moving to the BPM, right? The business process management. So today we do management of the complete business process, whether we do first change, lift and shift, or we fix it, lift it, and then shift it. Basically, business process reengineering, everything which we can really do. And the amount of domain experience what we do have in each of the verticals, what we talk, will add balance. And that is where we will be able to say that will make our customers more competitive. So I'll give a pause here, try to come back based on your other questions.
Awesome. I think this is a great insight. My next follow-up question to you is more about understanding your journey. I mean, being the president and chief technology officer at Hinduja Global Solutions, what does your day look like? How do you really go about it? It's just, I'm very keen to know, how does your day look like?
Good. So as I said, I spent 2 decades. I started in this company while I joined as a senior manager in this company in the year 2000.
Right.
So see, I always give, of course, at least I can say, because my hair is a little gray, I can say at least the 30 years I can give advice to some of the people while I really speak out in the CIO news, right?
Absolutely.
Or the CIO speak up with. I always believe in one thing. You need to have, I don't say, they need to definitely have something called as perseverance, which is very, very, very important. More than that, passion, right? Passion on whatever you do. I always believe in pick up something which is core competence to you, right? If your core competency is your networking, is your cloud or your infrastructure, or making your hands wet and being inside with the team. So if that is your core competency of infrastructure, just that's your passion which you have built. Just continue with your passion, right? Passion, very, very key for what I say. Perseverance, right? You need to keep doing things, right? And you can't really say that, I always keep reading. You can't say if you have to dig a well, you need to go 50 feet in one place. You can't really go 50 places and dig 1 feet and say that I've also done the job. It just doesn't make sense, right? So perseverance is very, very important in whatever you really do. And it's very important that we do that. The third thing, if you have to really be like Jay is also for quite some time, I'm sure, in Tata. And I'm also here for, I've seen the experience of people who have met in Tata, right? So they have also spent a lot of time because there is a value in it. For all this, you need to have patience. I think which is what is lacking today in most of the young generation. Yeah. So 3 things which I always say: passion, perseverance, and if you look at patience. These 3 are very important for anybody to reach and climb the value chain and reach up to the position of what you need to be in. It is very important that, don't take shortcuts. Never people will be able to do the shortcuts, right? You need to have, again, the world has started saying, work smartly, don't work hard. What it is important that you need to have a collaboration of both, which is your subject, which you're trying to really bring in, is very important. You need to have a collaboration of hard work and smart work, right? It is very important. That's where people will be able to really be successful. And again, any company you go, you need to really work. You need to work smart. You need to give your deliverables. If you are able to really set up a boundary of yourself and start delivering, and if you know what you know, and if you know what you don't know, it's very important for you to understand this. And then you need to know what you need to know, right? You can't be doing everything for everybody. As we said, that focus, every company and every, right from the Gartners and everybody comes back and says that, you need to be focused. This focus is very important, whether it is a personal career life or a professional or an organization or your deliverables or your key result areas, what you are answering in your company. I think this is the way the journey is for any company. And you asked me one small question: how do you really spend time? Because you know what, while you really start managing the infrastructure, especially for the role of a CTO, right? Managing infrastructure, whether it is a cloud, whether it is an on-prem, right? It doesn't mean when you put it on a cloud, you outsource your responsibility. You cannot. You need to have your own checks and balances and your controls for you to manage the cloud or on-prem or anything for that matter, right? Your people, process, and technology, all the three need to be in grip with you, and you need to be deeply connected with the people for you to really be successful, and your team to be successful, and your business to be successful. So if you ask me, I'm a guy who is a hands-on guy. I am not a 30,000 feet CTO. I will interact with every engineer of mine across the region. Everybody or almost everybody will know me literally to interact and say that this is what I have, sir, this is what I'm doing. And I also see, we have almost read during the pandemic or even pre, if you look at learn, unlearn, relearn. These three are very important. Irrespective of the level what you really grow, until unless you keep thinking that, yes, you need to keep learning, and forget things which you are not relevant, right? You need to look at that and be updated. And especially a role of a technology guy has to be far more in that. You can't you can't reach and remain. You need to keep innovating, right? I think that's how the day goes for us. Keep doing things differently, working with the teams, looking at change, looking at strategies, what we need to do. How do you draw a roadmap for the company? And when you go back and meet out with the customer, gone are the days that you don't interact with the customer. All of us need to always keep interacting with the end customers also. So which we need to be connected and keep talking to the customers. I give a pause here.
Wonderful. I mean, it's so nice to hear from you where what your thought processes are and what you follow. I think this is good insights. I would want to talk about more. You threw a lot of light on the COVID as well, and the challenge that we've been facing all this while. With the whole unprecedented challenge of COVID, trying to understand how do you collaborate with your employees to solve project issues or with stakeholders to check real-time project status?
If you are disconnected, only then there is a challenge. You cannot be disconnected. You need to be connected, right? This connect could be physical or virtual. I go back, I'll be very I can say straight about Tata Communications. So long ago, while this telepresence really came in, right? Long ago, maybe even 8 to 10 years ago, Tata Communication had in their Taj hotels in Bangalore, which is in Taj West End, Tata Communication had set up, the Tata Group had set up the whole thing, the telepresence setup. So I was trying to tell to the people, I go back to those days where I did an interview of a candidate in UK, right? Except for literally being touch and feel, you are able to really communicate, navigate, interact, discuss, and make a decision on exactly what we want to really go forward with. I think that has really caught up heavily today, right? It used to be, as I said, only a few companies, only a few locations, which used to be like go to the Taj West End and try to do this, right? Today, this has reached home. Today, if I am able to really pick up, if I had rescheduled your call the previous week because of my tight schedules, and today trying to jump on at 3 o'clock sharp to really talk with you, being wherever I am, being at home, trying to be at that comfort, I think the technology has really enabled that. The collaboration platforms, all of us are seeing, definitely most of the viewers will be having their stocks in almost all the IT companies. Yeah. Look at any IT stocks which has really boomed, right? Every company, whether it is an IT stock or it's a communication companies, all of them are doing superb. The reason is because everybody needs to get connected today, right? The days in our industry, typically, which used to be the brick and mortar, has gone down now. And the openness with the customers also coming back and trying to say, hey guys, hey partners, you people have really done during the pandemic pretty very well. You people were able to really shift within the number of days which you had committed. Like I was telling in some other podcast, oh, 7 din. I still remember that first 7 days of literally running around and being on conference calls and giving responsibility to my team members and delegating the authority to my VPs of every geography to make decisions, and then having a governance call almost 247, trying to be available and getting things moved. and getting it settled so that the agents will be able to log on, right? Has had any company really planned to this extent? Yes, companies would have planned. They never thought that, right? Every company would have planned A city, B city resiliency or a redundancy, then A country, B country redundancy. Here, the whole world is in pandemic. So everybody literally had to jump and start working on. So I think almost every CIO, CTO has become the star today, right?
Yeah.
Because they were the ones who were able to really make the whole business continue to run, right? And if the companies have reached up their maturity curve, right? Let's say, for example, were they on cloud, it would have been far easier. Were they partially on cloud, it would have been successful, right? Where they're not out, where their applications not ready for all dependency on the company before you make that, okay, I'm 100% cloud or I'm 100% work at home, any of these, right? For us to really, in a business ecosystem like ours, it is not only we as HGS, it is our customers also who need to, because we, as I said in the start, we are a third-party BPM company. We will be touching a lot of applications and a lot of infrastructure of our customers using connectivity from various service providers like Tata Communication, Oda, Airtel, and whoever other people are, right? So while we get connected to our customers' data system, right, data centers, we need to see whether they are ready for us to really access from remote, right? Because the jobs used to be coming to the office. Today, the jobs are going home and people are working from home, right? We need to, again, while doing all this, you can't really compromise on security. You need to have a huge amount of security done, right? And you are seeing, right, if there is a social, how do you really try to control that data? It is a completely automated? Is it semi-automated? Did it start with manual and move towards complete automation and AI? Absolutely, yes. So collaboration has been the need of the hour, need of the minute. All of us are really getting connected to every alternate person, and the platforms have really been accelerated. Service providers have given connectivity into every remote areas, right? If A is not available in that area, we go to B. And the schemes which are really being bought out, right? An MP never thought that this will happen, right? Broad service there. After some time where we had that some amount of blips in the start, after that, I think all of us are able to deliver the best to our customers.
Right. Okay, I think.
Yeah, your line was little flapping.
Your line was.
Yeah, I think my internet.
Little choppy. Yeah.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. I'm going to get this sorted. Just 1 second.
So I think you actually helped me to remind a couple of things which happened in the past, maybe a decade back when you highlighted telepresence. I was actually handling that business from South, and I still remember there are such international meetings or used to happen in telepresence. Sure. And about a decade back before that, we used to stand in line, get bandwidth, but today is completely a transformed world today. Yeah. And most of the things that you highlighted, it's a reality today. So we can't think that a digital transformation is about to come or a cloud is about to come. It's all reality today. And anybody is lacking in that space is definitely trailing behind the business that they are actually looking at. And a couple of points that you highlighted, the customer first, the strategy for HCS is almost resonate with what we have from Tata Communications as well. Because we should help customers or enable them as they're the best competitor for their market, right? So only then we will add more value to their business, then only then we will be also growing along with them. So once we are actually enabling customer to grow, we'll also grow along with that. And like what you said, the traditional conventional technologies is kind of gone out those days. Nowadays, like the in-person in-room experience that we had in the UC space through telepresence, it's on mobile today, right? So yes, you and I can talk on mobile and Teams, Zooms, and everything is possible today. The technology has actually grown. How much the companies are actually looking at and adopting it is what the primary. And the CC space. That has been the big space today, which has been it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar market in the coming days, undoubtedly. So that's where I think we may would like to understand more. Maybe Khushbu will add some more points from her. What I understand is that obviously, as you have mentioned, the healthcare, the insurance and healthcare related business is about 50% of HCS focus at this point in time. The rest also is, I think, I know you have a telecom, you have a BFSI as well.
Yes.
Some of the retail business as well, right? So what we understand, and it's our experience, and when we actually engage with the CIOs or CX like you in the market, this is our learning from them, the C levels. It is not only about the technical solution. It should be a business solution first. Technical solution, anybody can come and discuss. Okay, you need a 2 MB bandwidth, you need a contact center solutions, you need a collaboration solutions, as we are giving and moving on. But that's not the point. The point has to be how the business is getting a solution. It could be for your particular vertical, right? So in that sense, what we also we moved as a network service provider, digital ecosystem enabler, and all that. So the journey from Tata Communication perspective is something like we moved into a verticalized solution. So when I say verticalized solutions for an automobile sector, we call it as a store at home kind of a solution. So when I say store at home solution, the pandemic's actually accelerated a lot of things with respect to technology and innovation and so on and so forth. The consumer doesn't need to step out of their house, but they still have that in-showroom experience. And that's what the technology we enabled for a couple of automobiles industry. So if I want to purchase a car, sitting at home, I can do everything that I can go and do it in the showroom, starting from having the complete feature. Everything is video enabled. It will be more better, more attentive, oriented assistant for the individual, and it can be a lot of collaborations tool enabled onto it. And that's from automobile. Looking at retail, it's almost the similar scenarios. Maybe I can take a name because it's a group company, Chroma. What we have, if in case you are actually visiting Chroma website, you can just, maybe if you would like to purchase a fridge, you can just select the fridge model, everything, and the salesperson will come on a call instantly on a video, and he'll give you the completely personalized attention and demo for you to look at all the features and move on. And similar is the case for healthcare as well. So we, in fact, I may not take the names out here. There are leading healthcare chain in India has actually gone at our CC portfolios. One is primarily to integrate all their hospitals and ensure the better customer experience goes in and the better services goes to them. The other one is that having the virtual doctor consultation, the video consultation.
Yeah.
So there is technology is unlimited as we talk today, right? How much we apply to the business, how much we actually make those technology benefits the business outcome is what it's more critical. And that's what we've been.
No limit to imagination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Khushbu, back to you.
Khushbu, back to you.
Awesome. Wonderful insights. I think from that, I actually wanted to talk about the trend of moving to cloud, right? So I wanted to understand your insights, Mr. Subramaniam. What are the factors you consider while migrating to cloud or digital platforms?
Good one. So cloud and digital, okay, these are names which are normally used everywhere by everybody if you look at, right? So major thing, what do you need to consider for you to go to the cloud? One, again, for us, as I said, as a third-party BPM company, you need to understand we are enterprises in enterprise, right? Because we are servicing multiple customers, like what me and Jay were talking, maybe around 50 customers in healthcare, some 100 customers in CES, right? We need to align ourselves to what our customers are really doing, right? One, HGS as an enterprise, I need to define a vision for my IT, whereas my customer's applications, which are available either in his own data center or it's available on a cloud, or is he working with any other IT service provider for it to move to the cloud? Is it now? Is it later? How can we align those with our customers' decisions? Let's say, for example, today, okay, again, like what me and Jay were talking, gone are the days where, going back to the VSNL days to what is Tata Communications today, we need to literally, like he said, you need to stand and submit your application and wait for it, right? So today, going up with an MPLS connectivity, today we need to get across to our data customers and say, Where is your data center? Is it a Azure cloud? Is it a AWS cloud? Is it a Google cloud? Okay, then I know my provider. He will have a highway between all these cloud service providers. Just get connected and get started, right? One major thing, the speed of really getting it delivered flawlessly is possible with the cloud being enabled with the service providers and they having backend connectivity with all these. That's the first thing, right? Second, the readiness internally you need to look at. Like I said earlier, there are even today customers who are running their applications on green screen, right? So if we need to go back and access those green screen applications, and those are normally the mainframe machines, which is fixed hosted in a particular data center office. So we need to get connected on an MPLS to that also, right? So maturity level of the customer, the applications, the readiness of applications, what is existing today with him, and easy working. Sometimes we may have to tell him, you are running on this for these many years. It makes sense for us to really do an advisory by ourselves or use consultants or use the service providers to go and tell them it's worth for you because you have really yielded what you need to yield. Scrap this and go to a cloud ready application, because there are so many cloud ready. If you go to a Salesforce, if you go to a ServiceNow, anything which you want to really look at, almost everybody has a cloud version of it, right? So, or only cloud applications which have also launched, right? So you need to look at, for example, SuccessFactors is completely available on cloud and people start using it, right? So you need to see which industry, which vertical. You need to pick the top 3 who are there as per the quadrants, whichever you pick for Gartner, Frost, whoever it is, you pick it up, go to the customer, choose the solutions, try to give a transformation agenda with the customer.
Right.
First major thing which you need to really do to anybody to go to the cloud, you need to ensure that you need to give him with confidence, for which you should have really done that implementation by yourself. And you have proven it that, yes, we have migrated our applications or people are able to use, or look at the industry standard applications where multiple companies are using it. If we are able to really showcase and try to speak to the customer, then half the confidence is won, right? It is very important. It's not that only we should move. Yes, we should move, right? And it's also a question of time for a lot of companies. Like I was trying to say this, right? Cloud, I always relate it to the timing also. Let's say, for example, pre-pandemic, if somebody has invested a huge amount of money on a SAP infrastructure and bought everything and licenses and he has hosted, you try to do everything for him, he will find ways and means to come back and try to say, yes, my investment is still there. See, this is also, how do you buy out those investment? How are the OEMs trying to strategize to come back and tell that your ROI is this? Literally for a CIO, CTO, what needs to happen, right? I'm sure Jay will hear and a lot of the other service providers are hearing today. If I'm paying $100,000 of maintenance contracts today, if I can get a migration of my existing licenses or migration of to the whole platform to the cloud under $100,000, which could be my benchmark today, then first thing the antennas will raise for the CFO. Once the CFO got sold, automatically the CIO will get aligned, CTO will get aligned. Then the board will start talking, because it's clearly to say what's in it for us, what's in it for the company, right? And that is more so to say that, okay, one, it is not only saving cost, right? At some extent, you need to also go and explain to them it's an ROI. It is not that you're paying 100,000, I'm giving you at 95,000. How much is your manpower cost? How are you running today? How will you be able to launch a lot more products of yours faster, cheaper, better, and scale and global reachability, right? And you know what, again, a lot of cloud service providers also have to really come back and say how much I can really do scale down, because a lot of people say scale up, right? But scale down, people really say, no, you please sign, all that will be done. Finally, you would say 3 years agreement. Then I said, boss, then what's the use in doing it, right? So they need to also be flexible. See, one thing the cloud providers needs to understand, the CIO, CTOs or the customer organization are there in the business to run their business, right? They are not here to run away, right? So the idea of making them lock in for 3 years has to be principle, not by a bond paper or by a contract being signed for 3 years. Nobody will want to run away, right? And again, I always believe getting into a cloud is almost getting married somebody. It is very difficult to really get out. That's why I always say, understand it totally before really jumping to the cloud, right? Understand the pros and cons, understand the partner ecosystem whom you are using, understand the knowledge base, what the cloud service provider is giving. I'm not saying the cloud provider. There is a cloud service provider in between. What I mean basically is your cloud service manager or whatever, the organizations which do this, right? I'm not talking about the AWS or the Microsoft, right? You need to have a partner to do this.
Yeah.
Is this partner good? Has he done similar cases? Has he migrated? Does he have enough of tools and technologies which can do? Does he give you visibility into the spend, what you are doing regularly? Do you have a control? Do you have a single window for managing all this? See, these are all very important parameters before you say that, okay, I'll go to the cloud.
Yeah.
See, these are not thought through. There is no, it's not that, okay, there's a book, go and read for page number 5, page number 6 and try to do this. It is important that people have to practically understand this, discuss, sign up. As I said, because it's important that you're almost getting wedded to somebody. So you need to have all these planning done. And at the same time, you also need to define your exit policies. It is important that you need to have, right? It is not that everything will work well. Sometimes you need to really have, okay, for whatever reasons, even the service provider may have the best of it. For all you know, he would have lost all the engineers or whatever it could be, right? So you need to have the safe way to really do. That's where most of the companies are trying to say hybrid, or they are really trying to say that, okay, I'll have multi-cloud. All these approaches have been thought through by the CTOs because they don't want to really get into trouble of their business not getting delivery to its customers. So these are multiple parameters which we need to look at, Khushbu. It is not one cloud fits all or one solution fits all. It is a detailed discussion and deep dive sessions and road mapping with the partner, with the cloud service provider and the cloud provider for us to make a decision.
I should strongly agree. This is one of the most efficient, very effective insight, I should say. Thanks a lot for your thought leadership, Shubhu. I know this is what the experience talks, right? So the way you articulate that C-level, within the C-level, how they need to align and how this can be a business for everyone. And it should be like a business to business. It should not be like locking someone and taking it for granted. And the other thought process, it's not like taking one jump to the cloud. The multiple different factors needs to be thought through before getting it. Then you're absolutely right, because there are today lot of born cloud companies. It's not like traditional legendary customers or a service provider who's actually giving the cloud service. There are new born cloud service providers. Before we may be looking at attractive, we may be looking at in a different format and means this can be useful for our business. But all these parameters that you actually highlighted, whether to stay here or keep it as a hybrid or making it as a full cloud, there are a lot of other parameters needs to apply before even taking the decision. That's been awesome. And that applies exactly similar for the UC and CC business as well.
Absolutely.
You see, a lot of investment people still have, and the companies still have on the on-prem. They can't simply sweat and move on to the cloud. So what is the best strategy? What is the assessment they have to do? What is the migration plan they can have? And how gradually they can look at it? Maybe for the CC as well. I know today there is a compulsory situation to move at least a significant part of the business to cloud, but that's there. But all these factors plays a lot of
very important. Yeah, if you don't know what you are really jumping onto, it will be a challenge. It may be good now because you need something urgently, right? But you need to have a long-term approach, think through, plan. Only then it is really worthwhile for us to do.
Absolutely. Greater insight.
Yes, Khushbu.
Very true.
Anything more you want to know from me?
So one last question before we end our session. It'll be great to understand from you, how do you measure customer experience, and if you can share some light to the techniques of emerging CX heads that they can use.
So a good point. Again, it depends on different vertical. Let me ask you a few questions. Okay, then it becomes easy. How do I measure? The word, as it says, it's an experience, right? And this experience can't be only on the instant of me and Khushbu talking and trying to say you're satisfied and going out, right? Every time you try to interact, that experience needs to be happy for you, really happy for you, or the best for you, right? That's how you will look at the benchmark which you start putting across. Will stay, it keeps on raising, right? But you also need to look at the value for what you get. Today, if I ask you, Khushbu, you will have an iPhone, right? Yeah. I'm sure you would have bought it from a Flipkart or a Myntra or anybody, right? Whoever it could be, right? Or it could be Amazon. Tomorrow, let's say the new launch happens and the phones are available and you are asked to really, and if you decide to buy, Last time you would have ordered on Amazon and you would have got a great deal. You would have been very happy. This time, let's say Flipkart comes and gives you at a far lower price than this. Will you really make, okay, no, I'll go back to Amazon, right? That's where you need to really see how do you do this. This experience is not transactional. The world, you can't build a relationship when you are in desperation or when you are in a need. The relationship needs to be built over a period of time. Why do you think this cloud service provider companies are really having something called as the recurring revenue? And most of them have really started the designation as customer success manager.
Yeah.
All these are head of customer success. All these have really come out largely after a lot of companies transforming to the cloud. The reason is, it is not that, okay, my cloud is working today. Tomorrow, whether it is a connectivity, whether it is a last mile, whether it is a cloud service provider, whether it is an application hanging, whether it is a change management being followed, it is a complete value chain which everybody needs to understand and go back and give experience to the customer, right? And this experience is not, as I said, transactional. It has to be over a period of interactions, what you really do. Every time it has to keep going up. And it is important that you measure these experiences at every point of time. You can't really say that I have measured once in a year. It used to be, employee satisfaction score. It is the highest. It used to be few years ago. I'm sure Jay also recollects, it used to be published that a customer experience or employee experience is like this. Today, even employee experience, right? If he has done something, why does company come out with try to say that, okay, they are not having an appraisal cycle, which is annual. They will say that this guy has done, this was a project, he has done very well, and I think he deserves something better. They give it, right? I think whether it is an employee experience, customer experience, for so far, including your internal customer experience. If I am a service provider to the business, if I'm a service provider to the operations, all of us have to measure that also, because only when this is measured and satisfied, then you can move towards delighting your end customer. So is there a simple way to really do a measurement? I think it's ongoing. Every time I and you speak, you need to continue to really ask this, and we keep having experiences which we'll keep sharing, right?
Absolutely.
Because I remember all of us would have read in our IIMs and wherever one person who carried some instrument while he carried in British Airways or some other airways which broke. I don't want to use any specific airways, but generally it broke, and that experience will always be in his mind, right? But you know what? A lot of it needs to be done for reevaluating. If you go and check into any of your hotels, right? If you give a feedback, trust me, today, the way it is and the way it was 15 years ago, if you just say, the food was extremely good, your chef spoke to me, but the time it took to deliver the food was, more than expected.
Yeah.
Trust me, right from the chef to the housekeeping, to the front office manager, to the manager, again, depending on what level you are in the customer journey, right? They will do everything possible to ensure that you are the best, you have been satisfied. And they will also want to win your confidence back. And there could be an instance which this could have happened, and hence they would want to really explain and tell you. So as an end customer, you also need to give an opportunity, right, for the companies to do this. I think it's a two-way. It's not a one-way process.
Absolutely. It's a two-way, and it has got multiple factors into it. It is not only the technology aspect of it. There is multiple other experiences to be.
So Khushbu, I hope it was an answer. It was a long answer. There's no one-word answer for that.
She could have easily connected to it, buying it from Amazon or Flipkart. Right?
I would probably go to the store still, or have a digital experience of.
Imagine you will have the experience and go and buy the best. That is where, if you look at all these people have also started the stores. Otherwise, just go back again. Where was the store concept? It was not there, right?
Yeah.
The store, because for you to have the experience and then buy from wherever you want.
True.
Okay.
Awesome.
Back to you.
Wonderful insights, Mr. Subramanian. I think it is going to be great insights for our viewers as well. So thank you so much for joining us today for this session and giving all your journey, your best practices for the viewers.
My pleasure, Khushbu.
Great. Thank you, Jay.